I'm Jess.
And I'm Wes.
I'm Jess.
And I'm Wes.
I'm Jess.
And I'm Wes.
We are the National Wrestling Clipping Alliance.
I'm Jess.
And I'm Wes.
No, I'm Johnny G.
And we are the National Wrestling Clipping Alliance, and you're watching the NWCA podcast. Boys, we are the only podcast that doesn't just talk wrestling history. We show wrestling history, and for the first time in forever, we're together, the three of us. This is the team, bro. We are all here.
The team.
Johnny, welcome on board, bro.
What?
Welcome on the show, bud.
Welcome, my first podcast episode.
Well, the first one you joined with us. Johnny is our man behind the scenes. Without Johnny, there would be no editing, there would be no music, there would be no videos. He is the mastermind behind the computer.
I look like this.
Yeah, our heads would be cut off and uneven. So it's good to finally have all three of us, different generations of wrestling fans, all on the same team, all striving for you guys. And today we're doing something a little different, aren't we, boys?
It's going to be exciting to. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say we're going to do an Ask Us Anything episode today.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, and we're going to be all inclusive here. So it's not like we're going to be focusing on just one of us or any of us. So it's going to be a group discussion on whatever we can get out of this, so that we share, and that's what we do. We share.
That's right, man. Just want to thank everybody who sent in questions. For the person who wanted to be a smart ass and ask if I was a bisexual. Obviously, when I can't get it, I buy it. So you like that one, eh, Wes?
Oh, Jesse, you're too much.
All right, boys. Big things are on the move. But you know what? We have so much to get into. I have them all on my phone here. So let's just get right into it.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right. So this one is from Adam from the Schwa Wars podcast.
Okay.
He says, after interviewing different promoters over the last several years, one question I like to ask them is, between look, promo, ability / work rate, what order do you look for most when scouting talent?
Oh, that's a pretty interesting question.
And then he has a part 2 question, but let's get that one first.
So you said, what were the criteria again?
Yeah, so he says between look, promo, ability, and work rate, what order do you look most in when scouting talent? So my question to you is, as a lifelong fan, how would you take these 3 categories and rank them in order of importance? So what's important by promo, look, and ability and work rate? So yeah. in those 3.
Back in the day when everybody who had talent was on TV, you had to be able to do a promo. I still think even today, though, the most important is look, because like we were talking to Jim last night about all the independents, some of these guys get in the ring and, you know, you're a fan, you're looking at them, you're going, oh man, look how tall he is, or how good looking he is, or how muscular, or I think a look is really important, because I think you could probably get away with, to a certain extent, not that much talent, but if you look awesome, you're going to sell tickets. In today's market, back in then, looks were good, but the wrestlers were so good that a good-looking guy, and a perfect example is this guy called Magnificent Zulu, who wrestled in the late 60s and 70s. Big black guy, huge muscles, just incredible physique, and he was the shits, right? The shits. And he got main events, but he got main events because
he looked the part.
Yep.
So you're going looks as number 1.
I think so. I mean, That's my thought.
So you would be looks, promo, ability, and work rate.
As it stands for back in the day. Now, guys aren't cutting promos because nobody's on TV, and I don't watch the shows that are on TV. So if you guys do, then you guys can comment on that, because I don't know the promos on AEW or anything like that because I don't watch it. So what do you think, Jesse?
I would have to go looks number one, and promos number two, and ability and work rate, only because prime example is Sonny from the remember Sonny, the manager?
Okay,
From
yeah.
the early bombshell, smoking hot.
Yeah.
Couldn't do anything else but walk to the ring.
Yeah.
Right? Another example, now my opinion has changed on The Miz, but when The Miz first started out, he was literally from the MTV show, right? So
Okay.
he had the look and he could talk, but his matches were garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess it all depends in personal preference. But to me, you like, I always say, like, to Johnny too, when we go to shows, like, dude, like, I need to be afraid of you. Right. I need to know, like, when I look at John Moxley and Eddie Kingston, and obviously Johnny will know these guys, you won't, but these are AEW guys. When I see them on TV and they're talking and they're in the ring and they're twitching and getting ready, like, bro, I don't want to fight you even on my best day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Look at Brock Lesnar. In 2021, I think he never wrestled a match longer than 15 minutes.
No.
But he doesn't have to, because he's fucking 285 pounds of solid muscle.
He's a destroyer.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, what about you, Johnny?
Yeah, for me, it's definitely look number one, and then then two, promotion. Because so what I was thinking now is, like, for example, like Roman Reigns, like, yeah, you look at him, he's like, he looks like a good wrestler, but then in promotion, like, he's bad, like, time ago, but like he's good now.
Well, he's good now because he has Paul Heyman talking for him,
Yeah.
right? Paul E. Dangerously to you, Wes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, when you're looking at the independent shows I've gone to, and
Yeah.
we talked about Cody
Steel. Diener.
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 The guy's 5 foot. He looks like he's about 5'9", but I mean,
Built like a brick shithouse.
I was impressed. I mean, hey, he's not only good looking, but he's got a great body on him, and okay, the match goes on, you go, oh man, this guy's really good. He's small, but he's really good. And that, for me, nowadays, is all, it would be completely reversed back in the day for me as a fan, because, like, I want to see someone who can do something, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Too, it's true too. Like, even last night, Johnny, when we were talking to Old School, he even said, like, there was a weight limit before. You had to be a certain weight to even get into a match.
Into a school, yeah.
Yeah, like, and that is the old school way, right? So look can go far away. He did ask a part two. So it says, what is one qualities of modern wrestling that you think are superior to old school wrestling?
Oh,
So what quality in today's wrestling is more superior to the old school?
that's an easy one.
Athleticism.
That's an easy one. There's no old fat guys, right? No, but maybe there was, like, veterans on TV and stuff, and they were at the end of their line and they kept going. Like, even Flair, he's just pretend that he's still wrestling, right? Just pretend. Even his physicality is still pretty damn good. So, but when I started watching wrestling, there was, like, guys who were 45, maybe 49, maybe 50 plus. They were just old fat guys, and at one time in their life, they were fit, strong guys, but they just kept on. And now there's hardly any of these guys, unless they're a chubby or big fat.
Yeah, there's no more big men. Like, you don't see a Vader.
No.
Or a Bam Bam Bigelow.
Yeah.
Right?
Andre the Giant too.
Yeah, not a lot. Yeah, the Giants are gone too, usually. Because nowadays you got to be tall to be in WWE, right? We need people that look tall, right?
Yeah.
You have like Drew McIntyre and like Baron Corbin and stuff.
Yeah.
These guys are like tall, but not like wide, like not like wide look.
Mm-hmm. New York, buddy. It's always the land of the Giants. For
Yep.
me personally, I would say athleticism. Only because you don't see 450 splashes off the top rope in the 60s and the 70s.
It wasn't invented. Yeah.
Yeah, like you don't see bouncing off the rope and doing backward flip, you know what I mean? And I think when it comes to ropes, shit, Wes, you will know. The Undertaker, you know how he climbed the rope and he walked on the top rope. Who did it first? It was
Ron Jardine, the spoiler.
the spoiler did it first. That's right. John Darnine did it first. No, look at it. Johnny's like, oh shit. Okay.
No.
But yeah, like athleticism has to be paramount now.
Oh, it's like evolving.
Because there's no giants and because there's no superhumans. There's no even Hogan-esque kind of guys. There's no 6'7" guys that are pictured or postered everywhere on TV and world famous kind of thing, right? So when AEW or independent in Toronto has shows, I mean, the biggest guy could be 6'1" maybe, and maybe 200, maybe 220 or something, but that's about it because of athleticism.
What about you, Johnny? What's one thing now after hanging out with me and Wes and learning about the old school, and like you and I go to shows all the time, and not to mention that you film wrestling at PWE, so you film Diener and all that.
Yeah, I see. Like, yeah, at the time, like Cody Deaner was like wrestling with PWE. I always like filmed like right around him.
Yeah. So what do you think about what's one thing that changed from the old school to now?
I would say like like now it's like PG era compared to like back then it's like all ages.
Yeah.
I'd say that. Like,
yeah, it's toned down, that's for sure.
Yeah, like
I see what you're saying.
Like Sheik, like the Sheik, well, like he's a violent guy. You don't see like anybody like the Sheik now in WWE.
No, you can't.
No.
You never, because you can't because they're such a public traded company, right? So
and we can't say shit, and like that's what it's like now. We can't.
That's right.
We
can't say shit anymore.
All those words that we can't say, we can't think of. They can't do it on TV. They can't. They would be off TV so fast if some guy pulled a fork and like started jabbing people, right?
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I just watched a match on the AEW pay-per-view, and Jon Moxley busted out the fork.
Oh, really?
And he forked up brother good.
Really?
Oh,
but it was pay-per-view. It wasn't TV.
No, it wasn't TV. It was pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So there is a bit of a difference.
Yeah.
Okay, what's that?
John, did you see that?
No, I didn't get to watch a pay-per-view because I don't have a satellite.
Yeah, he's like you. He doesn't have cable.
I used to like a couple of years ago. I used to watch like WWE like every week, but now like since I lost it, it's been hard for me to keep up with WWE and sports.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool.
Blue Jays all the time too, either.
The fucking bald brothers over there. Okay, let's move on to this one. This one comes from Michael Weldon, from Tennessee, from all things wrestling.
Okay.
Wes, what was it like growing up in the golden era? So the golden era being Vince McMahon, really, I guess, because that's, to me, the golden era was the Vince era.
Yep. I don't know what he means by the golden era, but it was, as we were talking about last night with Jim, in Toronto, we were so lucky for about a 5, 6, 7 year stretch. We had about 6 different promotions on TV that were free. You could watch it. And I remember being yelled at when I was a kid. What are you doing downstairs? Get outside and play. wrestling was on from 12 o'clock on Saturday till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Then there was just 2 shows at night still. And it was Montreal, it was Vancouver, it was New York, it was Toronto show. We got to see so many different promotions. And to look back now, you go, oh man, we saw so many guys that some of the areas would never, ever, ever see. So it was pretty magic. But if you want to conclude it just to the Vince McMahon era, I watched it from being just big guys. Like everybody big guys going against Bruno, big guys going against Morales or whatever, and then into where you would become a fan, and then into just about where you would become a fan, because that's basically when I stopped watching, and because it didn't interest me anymore. But it was obviously the appeal was there because it got you guys, right?
Yeah. I mean, the Hulkamania hooked me. I'm born in '88, so I mean, shit.
Yep.
Ah, Johnny. Okay. Where's this funny one here? Let's get a Twitter question, because we had a couple Twitter questions here. Jason Presley on Twitter @DaClyde asks, what is the strangest thing you have read in a wrestling article so far? Or a wrestling magazine or article? Well, that's a good question.
Yeah.
We talked about the importance of the wrestling magazine last night.
Yep.
For me personally, I don't know if it's strange or not, but it's just like the articles that stand out are Tom Burke's articles in I think Ring Wrestling.
Yep.
And he did like the Germans of wrestling, and then he has like the African Americans of wrestling and all that kind of stuff. And he does like subgenres almost. So I think that is it's not weird, but it's pretty interesting.
The magazines from back in the day, right? This is October '72. So here's this is what I grew up with. Terry Funk complains, "I'm not my brother's policeman." So he's complaining because he's supposed to beat up the guys so that his brother doesn't have to fight them to lose his championship belt.
Yeah.
And blood match of the year. Cheer him, you jerks, but look what he did to me. It's like, it was just the stupidest shit looking back on it now, but this sucked you in. We got sucked in at the variety store looking at this stuff like berserk. You guys gonna buy that magazine or what? You guys gonna buy that magazine or what? The stories were unbelievable. I think one of the most interesting things was after I fell in love with the professional wrestling valet or whatever her name, woman.
Yeah. Nancy Benoit.
Yep. So looking back in some magazines, she was in some of those apartment wrestling articles.
Yeah.
Just the stupidest shit, right? I don't know, Johnny. Do you know anything about those, Johnny?
Not really.
No, they used to just stage girls in bikinis pretending that they were wrestling in an apartment, like it was a pretend thing that was going on, but it was complete bullshit, right?
Oh.
But she was just so beautiful, and she was featured in a couple of them. So that would be something that was really weird looking back.
John, I don't think you have a lot of wrestling magazines. However, you do have some books.
Yeah.
So I know you got some books and some stuff I gave you.
Okay.
Yeah, I started them off with a little bit.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I'll just show you what I finally got in the mail.
Hey, there it is.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna read this while I'm on the airplane next week when I go to Dominican, because it's like a 5-hour flight.
Yeah.
Oh damn.
Throwing this on. And then I'm still reading the Benoit book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I got a bit in it, but I just like haven't had time because of work and stuff. And then Broken Hearts.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah, his wife was on the pay-per-view for AEW for the finals Owen Hart tournament.
Yeah, I saw that on Facebook the other day.
Yeah. I wonder what she was doing on TV. Like,
yeah, man, it's wild, like to hear Owen Hart's name again in wrestling, right? In a positive way.
Yeah.
Not, oh yeah, he fell 30 stories. Yeah, thanks. We know.
Johnny, when you read the Benoit book, I don't know how far you're into it. You will recognize the name Nancy Benoit.
Yeah, that was his wife.
Yeah, but before that she was a wrestling manager and she was just incredibly beautiful. Oh my god.
Yeah, like I've like known enough about like their whole story and stuff, and like the Dark Side of Ring episode too.
Yeah.
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 Okay. Alan Cran, our friend and loyal Facebook member.
Yeah.
In which year did Maple Leaf Wrestling switch out Lord Athol Leighton for Billy Red Lyons on commentary?
Okay, that's a great question, and I did see that, so I did do some research on this, and this is as thorough, I think, as we're going to get. So Lord Leighton was big time announcer in Windsor, Detroit, Cleveland. Not after his career was over, but he was winding it down. He was a TV announcer on Channel 11 out of Hamilton up until about 1971. He went back to Australia. He was there for a few years doing, and you can see on YouTube the fantastic matches where he's doing commentary, because it's all on YouTube. For some reason, all that stuff got saved. I have no idea why it did, but it's awesome.
That's awesome, though.
So then he came back in about 1974 from Australia and was on TV for a little bit longer. And then he left. A guy named Sandy Hoyt, who was a Toronto disc jockey, he came on. And upon my research, some of our Kevin Hobbs, who's one of our good members, said that he knew him and that he hated the fans. He was always afraid doing the
Always afraid
that something was going to happen, like, but he did it because I guess it was extra money, and these guys were professionals. They needed to make money too. After Sandy Hoyt, we're looking at Jason Wilbartz, who was another Hamilton disc jockey. He was on for a while and not very good. John McGilvery, another, I'm not sure if he was a disc jockey or he was a news announcer, something like that. And then we have Mike McCann and Billy Red Lyons. So that was pretty much the chronology from 1970 right up to 1984 when Tunney sold out to Vince.
Yep. And then it became Monsoon and Ventura.
Which you can't deny that those guys were fantastic. They were so good together. Ventura was fantastic. He was great on the mic, and Monsoon was the great straight guy.
Okay, so I have to ask you boys then, who's your favorite commentary team? Because as good as Monsoon and Ventura were, I'd still take Bobby the Brain and Monsoon.
Yeah.
I mean, Bobby the Brain and Monsoon, and then Jim Ross and the King. Those are right there.
The King's my favorite.
Yeah, JR and the King? That's what you grew up with, right?
I like Jim Ross. I loved him in his early career. He's fantastic, and he was so credible. He was probably the most credible announcer that I ever heard.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he was so good. You just believed every word he said, no matter what. And he was a massive professional. But because he worked for the promotion, he wasn't just some guy that came in on Saturday and read the script and went, "Oh, okay." He was part of the business.
That's right.
Yeah.
He was Bill Watts' right-hand man at one point.
That's right.
So, okay, let's get another one here. Andy the Taxman asks, if a museum for Canadian wrestling history were to be built, what city should it be built in and why? He has two other questions, so let's start with that one. I'm biased, yo. Maple Leaf Gardens, baby. That's where it belongs.
Yeah.
In Toronto, the biggest city in this country.
And I would think maybe in conjunction with the CNE or whatever's down there now, or maybe in conjunction with the Hockey Hall of Fame, which is obviously right downtown, across from, I think, Union Station in Toronto, right?
Yeah, it's just right down there. Yeah,
should be something that's multifaceted, so that someone from Edmonton is not going to go, "Oh, I'm going to Toronto. I could hit the Hockey Hall of Fame and the Wrestling Hall of Fame at the same time, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Johnny?
Yeah, I agree too with you.
What, Toronto?
Yeah. Yeah, because like there's Hall of Fame and there's like Juno Awards there and stuff.
Yeah.
The Walk of Fame is there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Juno.
That's actually smart. I've never even thought of the Walk of Fame too. That's there too.
Yeah.
His second part is, what's one card from Maple Leaf Gardens wrestling history that you each wish you could have seen? I mean, shit. Any card from Maple Leaf Gardens that I wish I could have seen? There's lots, bro. I wish I saw.
Anyone?
Yeah, like Thez and Rogers would be top of my list. The debut of the first ever Andre and Hulk Hogan in the Maple Leaf Gardens in March 29, 1981. That would be another one for me.
Okay, too. Yes.
Right, like Harley Race versus Funk, the title change. I would have loved to have been in that building when that happened.
That would have been awesome. That would have been a good one.
So there's three off the top of my head.
You can't deny those three. That'd be fantastic. It would have been neat to see earlier. Would have been neat to see Bobo, I think, beat the Sheik once in Maple Leaf Gardens for the title.
Wow.
And it was very short reign, but yeah, the place would have exploded if there was 17,000 people in there. They would have blew the roof off.
Yeah, there's another one. Whipper versus the Sheik for the 30th anniversary of Maple Leaf Wrestling, right?
Yeah. So yeah,
what about you?
When you're looking at the stuff that we're posting and you're getting a grasp of the history and stuff, I mean, it's probably hard to try to fathom things that we're talking about that you just don't know. But I mean, you got to see a repetition of Jesse talking about Whipper Watson all the time and me talking about the Sheik or whatever, or Ric Flair, right? So you could just probably pull something out of your head by what you saw on the podcast that we've already done.
Well, John, what do you think, buddy? What match would you want to see in Maple Leaf Gardens if you could go back in time? Any match.
I would do Hogan and Andre.
Any Hogan Andre, yeah. I mean, it's typical for our era because we had never saw Andre.
Yeah.
Right? So it would have been cool to see Andre though in like a more intimate setting, like in Timmins or something, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has one more here.
Yeah.
What feud between two Canadians do each of you think was most important at the time to whichever territory and company it occurred in?
Well, we answered that one on
1,000 times.
on the Wild Man podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. Whipper and Gene Kiniski is probably the biggest one for Maple Leaf Wrestling.
Biggest one across Canada because they wrestled everywhere, right?
Yeah, he said any country. So if you really want to bring it up, you could say Bret Hart versus Owen Hart in WWE. That was a pretty important one.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good one. I would have loved to have seen that live.
Piper versus Bret fought at a Mania.
Yeah.
Right. So I think WrestleMania, or you could bring in the Rougeaus versus
the Garvins at the time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What about you, Johnny? Two Canadians.
I did Chris Jericho and Benoit.
Oh, that's a good one.
Nice one. Yeah.
Yeah. I would have totally forgot about Jericho.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. For sure. That happened in WCW and WWE. So
oh yeah, that too.
I love, and Benoit's got a bit of a bad name, but oh man, he was so good. He was so good. Chris Benoit.
Yeah. I had a guy at my work, he asked me, what do you think of Benoit, man? And I can say, I'll tell you one thing about Benoit, and the only thing I can say, he was a damn good professional wrestler.
Oh, he was fantastic.
Because personally, I can't get over what he did. So
no, neither can I. But
yeah, right. But you got to draw the line.
Yeah,
even with all the research and done and everything's been said and done, at the end of the day, bro, you killed a fucking 2-year-old. So I can't get over that.
We've got some people in the business who, after the fact, we learned that they were a little on the unscrupulous side, like bad guys, outside of the ring. And
Yeah.
watching them on TV every Saturday, and you're going, "Oh man, I like him," or "He's such a great loser," or something because he never wins. And then you find out that guy's a pedophile, right? Or
Yeah.
like, fuck.
Yeah, like the Ring Boy scandals and all that shit.
Yeah.
So, okay, Wes. This comes from our friend Davin.
Okay.
What? It's actually a two-parter. Wes, going back through the Terry Dart photo archives, who was Terry's favorite wrestler to photograph, and if you know, why?
Definitely the Sheik.
Yeah?
Definitely, and because of what's in the book that you guys have that I don't have yet.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Johnny, if you flip to the front page, his name, Terry Dart, is on is right there. Dedicated to Terry Dart, who never got his camera back.
Oh damn.
Yeah, see, so I would have thought you would have said Dave McGinty, the Wild Man, because he was always photography there.
But it wasn't like, if you yes, he did a lot of pictures for Dave, but he did a lot of pictures of his show for Dave, and he gave them to Dave. Whereas getting that perfect shot of the Sheik was the most important thing to him.
Yeah.
This Sheik was the biggest star, right?
Yeah, that's fair. Part 2 is, what is Wes's favorite Hulk Hogan match and why? And he has to answer.
Okay. I the only thing I can say is I saw him wrestle Terry Funk in Toronto. That, that. I don't know.
We've talked about that before.
I probably saw him on TV. I don't know, like 1,000 times. You guys probably saw him like 10,000 times. I some of his matches were awful. They were just awful. But the whole encompassing part of, like we talked about, Jesse, the show.
Yeah, the performance.
It's pretty big. It's very, very big. There wasn't too many more guys that could just step out from behind a curtain and the place would just go berserk. We all got sick of that shit, right? But it was a big deal. It was a big deal for sure.
What about you, Johnny? What's your favorite Hogan match, buddy?
I'm honestly got to go with. No, that's a hard one. Okay, either him and Andre or him and The Rock at Mania 18.
Yeah.
Between those two.
Good. That's what. Yeah, nothing wrong with those two.
Nothing wrong with those, bro. Oh. Why Hogan Rock? Just because? Were you there? Or were your brother there?
My brother was there.
Oh, okay.
He left you behind, eh?
I was too young at the time to go to a wrestling show.
Okay.
Yeah.
I really got so lucky with that.
That's all right.
Well, maybe one day, like, Toronto will get a Mania. Like, who knows?
We'll see.
Yeah.
For me, a lot of Hogan matches stand out. Right off the top of my head, I can think of Goldberg and Hogan on Nitro when Goldberg won both titles.
Yeah.
And Eric Bischoff up, and he should have put that on pay-per-view, but he put it live on television. Imagine how much money you could have made if that was on pay-per-view, Eric.
Yeah.
You got Hogan Rock is another one for me. Hogan versus Vince McMahon. Like, that was hilarious. Yeah, like you could go forever. Like, who didn't he face?
Yeah.
Like, you go Hogan Macho Man. How do you look over Hogan Macho Man? You can't. Even them as a tag team was so good.
Well.
So, you got your eyes on Elizabeth. Get your hands off Elizabeth.
He didn't have a Tennessee accent.
Oh, God, I know. This comes from Roger and Liz. Is it still wrestling without a ring? I mean, I'm going to throw this out there, boys. Falls count anywhere matches.
I was thinking, too, our backstage brawl.
Last man standing matches. You know what I mean? This is the part where we go wrestling evolved. It didn't come from two guys in a ring. Now you got last man standing matches. You know what I mean? There's a promotion called No Ring North in Ontario, and they don't have a ring at all. Yeah.
Oh.
So is it wrestling without a ring, right?
Well, I saw something really stupid on Facebook the other night. Two guys, it's like they were in the entrance from the dressing room to the ring, and they were in some sort of a fence cage thing, and one guy had a crutch, and the synopsis, I guess, of the whole thing was, I get a shot at you, you get a shot at me. I get a shot at you, and maybe last man standing, I don't know what it was. I wasn't really paying attention. I just thought, okay, that's what people want now at maybe at an independent show. And I'm really changing my mind on, if people are going to the show, that's all that matters. If no one's making any money, who cares? It's professional wrestling. Who cares? Who cares what they do? It's entertainment. It's what it is, and I'm not going to knock it ever again because, hey, it is wrestling. It's carrying on the tradition. If only in name, it's still carrying on the tradition.
I agree.
Yeah.
And like you said, like I just watched a match last night, today, because it's a 6-hour pay-per-view, so it's going to take me 3 days to finish. But they had a 5-on-5.
Okay.
They didn't go to the ring for the first 15 minutes. They were fighting all over the crowd.
Okay.
Right? They're all over the crowd. They were fighting. Jericho's fighting Moxley over here. They have Eddie Kingston in the hallways, fighting in the lobbies. Tony Schiavone killed me. He got Eddie Kingston bleeding everywhere, gets thrown into the t-shirt stand. Well, those t-shirts just went up in price. I'm just like, get some real life wrestling blood on your shirt tonight.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh God, that's so funny. But yeah, and like in the mid 90s, you had like Buried Alive match. Wes, you may recall the halftime show match with The Rock and Mankind that they did for the Super Bowl halftime show. Yeah, so for a halftime show, they did an empty arena match.
Okay.
An empty arena I Quit match. There was literally no one in the building. It was just The Rock, Vince McMahon, and Mankind in the cameras. And they had a match, an empty arena match. It's probably on YouTube. You probably look it up.
Okay.
I remember that.
Yeah. Let's go with my sister Hannah asked a question.
Okay.
What is the first memory of wrestling that made you a wrestling fan? And what is your favorite wrestling promo of all time? Johnny, we're starting with you, bud. So what is the first memory of wrestling that made you, Johnny G, a wrestling fan?
Well, it goes like way back because like I was really young, and my grandma was like the one that got me and my brothers to wrestling. And my first memory I remember from like WWE is like the games. Like I remember like I was throwing on like No Mercy because my brothers were playing it, and I went to play, and I'm like, this is awesome. I love wrestling now. And like especially seeing my grandma like watching it all the time, like screaming and stuff.
Yeah.
That's like my good memory about like becoming a wrestling fan first time.
And that's awesome because so many people through history have sat beside their grandfather or their grandmother or their dad in Saturday afternoons or whenever the shows were on and watched wrestling. And just see how many people comment on our Facebook pages about, oh, that reminds me of when I used to sit with my grandpa and watch wrestling, or my grandma would throw things at the TV and stuff. That's cool. That's so cool.
A guy signed our NWCA sign and said Saturday wrestling with my dad.
Yeah.
That was his favorite memory of wrestling history, right?
Yeah, that's so cool.
What about you, Wes?
Because I was about 10.
So 1961.
Yeah. 51. Someone said, Wes, so what did you do when you went to Woodstock? And I was like, I would have been 10 years old. I didn't go to Woodstock. I smoked enough weed, but I didn't go to Woodstock. Jesus.
They could. No one could. My uncle tried to go. They shut the border down. No one was allowed to cross the border.
Yeah, it was a big deal. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I think at the time I had all my friends. We obviously loved sports and we loved hockey and whatever, but we found wrestling and then we found the magazines, and it was like magic. It was like magic. Didn't understand it really, but for some, I don't know what it was. Something just tweaked, and it was like, and now it's been 50 years, like plus that I've been a fan, and I just love it. I absolutely love it. I don't know, first thing that happened is just too long ago, but I love it. It's just, and then after growing a little older, I still loved it, but I had no friends who liked wrestling. So I told Jesse before, I was a closet fan, which is stupid and weird now because all the shit I could have went and seen, I could have missed because I grew up, I had a good job and I had money when I was like in my teens, but oh well.
Yeah. For me, it's 2 years old, man. I remember watching it. And then, like I always say, I got the VHS tapes, right? So, favorite wrestling promo of all time.
You know what? I really liked Piper's Pit.
Yeah.
It was awesome. It was so much fun. He's so good. He was so good with his presentation and the way his acting and his facial, and then his mouth could run a mile a minute, right? He was great. Definitely Piper's Pit.
Johnny, favorite promo?
Pretty much like anything like Jericho did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jericho was pretty good on a mic. Right now, for me, it's Armageddon 2000 or something like that with the 6-man Hell in the Cell and The Rock, and he just ripped apart Undertaker. We're gonna beat the Undertaker and rise up. He just made it. He's like, I got Kurt Angle. I'm gonna drink a big glass of milk. And then he's like, and then pop 3 Viagra. Like, that one to me is, he's like, oh, I'm gonna beat Steve Austin, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Go get in my pickup truck, drink some Steve Weisers. He's just like, He's too good. If we have to talk about segment, one of my favorite segments I could watch over and over again is Mike Tyson and Stone Cold Steve Austin. I ain't gonna shake your damn hand, son. This is Stone Cold Steve Austin's ring. And then fucking what happens? Tyson pushes Austin. All hell breaks loose. JR. Austin wants Tyson. Tyson wants Austin. Vince McMahon's losing his mind. He's like, you ruined it. You ruined everything. So that is probably up there for me. Like if I ever get to meet Jim Ross, that's what I want him to sign the book or something. Just Austin wants Tyson, because that is embedded in my head. You ruined it. You ruined everything.
I'm gonna watch that tonight after.
Yeah, it's so good because like Mike Tyson comes out and he's like the baddest man on the planet, right? Like,
yeah.
And if you know boxing, you know and then before WrestleMania, I think it was WrestleMania 14, no, 14, WrestleMania 14, Stone Cold and HBK.
Yeah.
So, and then Tyson joined D-Generation X, and oh yeah, it was good. That's when Austin won the title.
Oh yeah.
Okay, let's get rid of that one. We have a question. Wes, we talked about it. I couldn't find anything on it. At Chris_H71 on Twitter. I'm curious on why the blue, white, and yellow rope colors were used. Were used when Turner bought out Crockett. I know it's probably not a fascinating story, but always made me wonder. Not sure if you two know or not. I do not know. I'm gonna guess that when Turner bought out Crockett, he just wanted to start from scratch. New look, new everything, right? Didn't want to be the NWA. He wanted to be WCW.
and that could probably be the easiest answer and most simplest answer. It could be like we talked about, just quickly discussing this before. It could be so deep that no one knows the answer, right?
Exactly, right? We don't know, but
Yeah.
we looked into it. I couldn't find anything, but I just wanted to bring it up because we didn't want to think that we're ignoring everybody that wrote in.
Well, that's. I mean, it's a bit of a question, but yeah, like what? Hey, no, we don't know.
Yeah. Sorry. Dave Rocket from Dave Rocket and the Jobbers. Me and Johnny met these guys. They love our booklets. Dave is a huge fan of what we do.
Awesome.
I personally messaged him and asked him if he wanted to ask a question. And he said, I'd love to learn about London and Sarnia area. London and Sarnia area, the indie wrestling history that West knows about. So the indie wrestling history for London and Sarnia. He says, I went to WWF house shows as a kid in London and Sarnia, but didn't know much about anything else in the area until seeing HWF in the late 90s. What was the landscape of the independent scene in that part of Ontario, especially before the indie boom period in the late 90s, early 2000s?
Okay.
Now, for me, when it comes to London and Sarnia, I only know Maple Leaf Wrestling ran there and filmed TV there for in the 60s. I had a bunch of Terry Dart clippings I gave AC, and he graciously dated them all for me. So when it comes to the history of London specifically, London was a massive part of the Tunney organization.
Sure was.
Huge. The Wildman was a big London guy. But when it comes to independent wrestling, I'm not too sure, as I'm still relatively new to the independent scene. I don't even know if AWF went out there. Because the HWF Jim brought up last night.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And when I think in the 90s they did have independent there, but it was only club, like club wrestling. I would consider club wrestling like in a bar or in a really small hall like a Legion or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't no one could afford any of the arenas there. Plus, all the arenas had changed. The time frame from the 60s to the to the 90s or the 2000s, the big arenas were for the big shows. The little guys couldn't rent them. Like the Wild Man could still rent the big arenas in London because he knew he was going to get 2,000 people at $5 a pop or whatever the prices were back then, right? But Tunney ran London, or someone ran London from the 40s right until the early 70s, like week after week. They had a show every week from September to May or June. They stopped for the summer. And the Wild Man ran 100 shows in London over his career, and 2 or 3 different facilities. But yeah, they big time. Now Sarnia being a little bit closer to Detroit than London, well, about the same. A lot of the Detroit guys, the Sheik ran Sarnia for a long time, or Burt Ruby did before the Sheik was promoting, and Barnett and Doyle ran Sarnia also, because they used to have some big cards in Sarnia. We've got some, I think we have some ads on our Ontario Clippings of the Past page from Keswick Terrace, which was a hall that was above the gas company in downtown Sarnia, and that's had wrestling, but it was packed every time they had wrestling there. Sheik wrestled there in like the 50s. Great area for wrestling, but from Toronto to London, people who just more likely wouldn't go there. It was London based.
Yeah. For the indie scene, though, like, I don't know. I know probably. Did you ever go to indie shows in the 90s with Terry?
No. He was going so many. He went to so many. I mean, he was going to Michigan. He was going to Ohio. Anything that had wrestling, even anywhere near London, he was going to. So, I mean, I had to work. Terry was pensioned off already,
Terry was pensioned off already.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the last one from Andrew Chomi. He loves what we do. Always loved D-Generation X. How did they start up? What was their first match? Favorite funny skit they did? And there's a part 2 to that also. Well, DX pretty much was the answer to NWO. To be honest, like they had the click. Kevin Nash and Scott Hall went this way. Triple H and Shawn Michaels stayed here. Once WCW started taking over in the ratings, Vince said, we got to change. They added the Attitude Era. D-Generation X was a part of that. I mean, they're a comedy. You could look at DX 2 ways. You can look at it as the 3 of them, Shawn, Chyna, and Triple H. Or you can look at it as the 6 of them. Road Dogg, Jesse James, Billy Gunn, X-Pac, Triple H, and Chyna. Because Shawn Michaels was never a part of that 5-some.
Okay.
Right? Shawn left. He said, I lost my smile, all that BS. And then he left. Right? Triple H did a promo on Raw. And he said, you know, when you build an army, you turn to your friends, you turn to the clique. Boom. And out comes X-Pac, who just left WCW. So X-Pac really went from WWE, jumped to WCW, and then got fired by Eric Bischoff and jumped back to WWE. So, and he is the only guy, I'm pretty sure, that was in NWO and DX.
Okay.
Their first match, no clue. I mean, you're going back to the Shawn Michaels and Triple H era, right?
And it could have been in Des Moines, Iowa. So
the funny skit. My favorite DX moment is when they made fun of the Nation of Domination. Yeah, you know that one, Johnny? He's like, he knows it.
Yeah.
So they come out, and Triple H has got, you know, the taped up eyebrow and the hair, and it's like, I just went to the bathroom, and you should have smelled what the Rock was cooking, or the Croc. He called himself when the Croc says this, right? And then you got Road Dogg jumping around like D'Lo Brown doing the head shakes, and you got X-Pac painted his whole face black and came out big fat, said Ms. Ark because Mark Henry, right?
Yeah.
So you could go back to the other skit when they invaded WCW and DX rolled up on WCW Nitro. And they were on a fucking tank going downtown.
Yeah, that one too.
Yeah, there's lots, man. There's lots. I know DX is past you're not even there. So
No, I still don't like Shawn Michaels.
yeah, I know that. Johnny, what about you, DX? You had a kind of different DX because I grew up with the Attitude Era, but then you got the funny Shawn Michaels Triple H with the Hornswoggle doing stuff.
Well, like, no, I was still like, I kind of stopped watching wrestling at that point because like I was more into like Attitude Era. Like I knew like DX since like I remember like it was yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Covered them on TV.
Who didn't get in trouble for saying "suck it"?
Oh, like I always got in trouble for that.
Oh my God. Right? I now remember that because that was I found it offensive sometimes because people were saying it everywhere. People were saying it on the street, right? And doing the
words.
Suck it.
His part 2 question was, who is your favorite diva of the Attitude Era? He said, mine's Sunny. Well, I can second that. I love Sunny. Nowadays she's a little fucking crazy, and if you're up to date, she's in, I think, jail right now after her 7th DUI.
Yeah, she's in big trouble. She's never getting out again.
Yeah, she did some porn and stuff too. It's out there.
So I think some of the girls that came on, girls, I was never a big, huge fan of. So yeah, the Sunny type of girls.
You don't like bowling balls?
No, that's
mommy.
They're fake most of the time.
Who cares?
I do. Yeah. This is supposed to be for mature audiences.
Yeah,
Supposed to.
supposed to be. Coming
Yeah.
from the guy who was slamming beers last night on the show.
That was fun.
Yeah. Okay, so let's open it up then. Let's go. Let's turn this question around. Your favorite diva that you're just like, whoo, smoking hot. And we'll go favorite wrestler and woman manager.
Oh, okay.
So for me, Sunny #1 until she became crazy. Favorite woman manager. I want to say Trish Stratus just to get her in there because she did manage when she first started in WWE. She managed Test and Albert as TNA.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not going to say that she's not my favorite women's wrestler, but I'm like, if we're going of all time here and we're just all the women in wrestling, like you had to say the hottest one, the favorite manager, and your favorite wrestler. I mean, I love the women's wrestling today, man. Like, I'm a big Charlotte Flair guy. Rhea Ripley is another. She's like 6'2", tank. Wow. Yeah, like, bro, these women, man. Sometimes I prefer the women over the men. Yes, because the women are out there beating the shit out of each other.
Much better matches in some cases.
Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania. I think, what was it, Johnny, during the COVID era, right?
Yeah, years ago, I think.
Yeah, right. Buddy, they beat the hell out of each other. Chops, stomps. You like that, bitch? Boom. Oh. Right? Like, just stuff like that. Like, hey, we can do it just as good as the guys.
Yeah, yeah. And why not, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know what? Times have changed. It's not women's wrestling used to be the channel changer for me or the pee break.
Yeah.
Right? Because you had at least 4 minutes because they ain't getting 5. And then the extra minutes for the commercial.
And they're not doing anything.
No, they go in.
One high spot, maybe.
Yeah. I remember watching a Divas match, and I'm going to say Diva because it was before the women's revolution. A Divas match. It was an 4 versus 4 tag match. I called the whole match.
Okay.
The whole match I called, and it was over in 6 minutes. And I was just like, it's that predictable.
Yeah.
But then the women's revolution happened, and now you got people like Charlotte Flair, Bayley, Sasha Banks. She's a diva. You know who Sasha Banks reminds me of? Shannon Doherty. Okay? Get the diva-ness out of you, bro. Straight up. She dropped title on John Laurinaitis' desk and abandoned the show right before it went on the air. Yeah. So you know what? You're gonna get fired. You're selfish. Get out.
Grace.
That's my little rant. Sorry, boys. That really bothers me. Like, to think that, and we talked about this last night with Jim, to think you're above somebody else.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, we get it. Right? But, like, you're Snoop Dogg's niece or whatever. But at the same time, you said that you feel unsafe in the ring with people you've already been in the ring with. So now you got egg on your face. Now you look stupid.
Doesn't make any sense at all. Other than she must have I would imagine she has a bigger picture somewhere looking over there. But when you burn your bridges, guess what?
That's it, buddy.
Sometimes, yeah.
Johnny,
yeah.
the hottest women's wrestler for you.
For Attitude Era, I would say
any era.
Oh, okay. Like in my head right now, I'm gonna say Stacy Keibler.
Oh, how did I forget Stacy? She came out to ZZ Top, bro. She's got legs. She knows how to use them.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. That was a good one, Stacy Keibler. What about favorite women's wrestler?
Can I answer like one from like back then, one for now?
Of course.
Sure.
So back then, I would say Lita. And then current, Charlotte Flair.
Yeah, the apple don't far fall from the fucking tree, brother. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
Nice.
So now here we go. Wes is gonna say.
You have no idea what I'm gonna say because in my era, women's wrestling, they were 35-year-old, not very attractive, portly women like Meg.
How dare you rip on Glow?
the Moolah, like Fabulous Moolah, right? Glow was awful. Oh, that was pathetic.
Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling? You didn't like it?
No, that was stupid. So when we started trading VHSs and we started seeing ECW, Beulah, whatever her name was,
Beulah McGillicuddy.
Oh my
That is Tommy Dreamer's wife, everybody.
God! Oh man, she was incredibly hot, and they played it up like right to the nines, and she was beautiful, as in not stupid Elizabeth, untouchable beautiful. Elizabeth was so pathetic. She was just so crap. She was a terrible actress. She just awful. And
I'm fucking gonna flip my goddamn table in about 3 minutes here.
I didn't think she was very pretty either. She was all right, but she was awful. They could have hired like 1,000 other women to play the part better.
No way.
Yes, she was awful. Favorite wrestler? There's a girl I've seen live about 5 times with the PWE or whatever it's called now. Beautiful Bia. I first time I saw her, I said, oh my God, her arms are way too small. She's got skinny little legs. She probably can't do anything. Oh, she was so good. And she's a great face. She had her picture taken with all the kids in the crowd. She was just so really, really nice. And she could wrestle fantastic. I think I saw her and Madison Miles, I think, once. And that was a good match. But she would be, and I have no idea. I haven't actually seen a whole Charlotte Flair match yet. I haven't taken the time to watch, but everything leads me to believe that she's top dog, right?
Dude, Johnny, I think we were at the same show. SummerSlam 20, was it 16? No, 18?
2019.
Yeah, 2019.
Yeah.
Charlotte Flair versus Trish Stratus.
Yeah.
For Trish Stratus's return. Buddy, if you can find clips of that, that was a sick match, bro.
Yeah.
You can go Charlotte versus Sasha, Hell in a Cell. You can go Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley, Charlotte versus Bayley. Now, I'm not going to take anything away from Becky Lynch. I think Becky Lynch and Alexa Bliss had some of the best women's wrestling I've ever seen on SmackDown when Alexa Bliss was first champion. And these are all new people, right? But, it's different now. Women are headlining the shows.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Ronda Rousey headlined WrestleMania.
Yep.
Now, again, don't get me started on that, but yeah, speaking of ECW, though, Francine. How did I forget Francine?
She's pretty
the Queen of Extreme.
Yes.
Francine.
And they pushed that, and in my viewing experience, there was no other promotions at the time that had anything like that. And yeah.
Bro, Joey Styles would do that. They would beat each other up and be like, cat fight.
Oh, that was the first time seeing beautiful women portrayed in the ring as part of the show, as opposed to what I was used to watching when I was a kid, where Moolah was, I mean, I give her credit. She lasted a long time in the ring, and at one time she was probably fantastic. But, I mean, she did the same shit for 30 years, right?
Yeah, she went to business for herself, too, against Wendy Richter under a mask.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about screw jobs, folks? They've been happening for years, okay? Yeah. Everybody get over it. It's been happening for years. Anyways.
Oh, man.
One final question I'm going to ask both of you that I didn't write down. We'll start with Johnny. What does being a part of the NWCA mean to you?
It means a lot to me. Yeah, it means a lot to me because like after I finished school and stuff, I've always wanted to do some like editing work and stuff. And then like when I discovered you for like through his sister Hannah,
Mhm.
together and then Jesse's like, yeah, let's do our broadcast show. And then I'm like, oh, like man, I've been wanting to do like editing for like time. So like for where we are now, like I'm like so happy where I'm at, and I'm getting like a lot better at editing, learning more and stuff.
Yeah, and not only that, we're like a part of the super fan group now. Johnny's met Warren. You
Yeah.
know, we're off to Quebec on Saturday. You know what I mean? Like,
Another thing too, like I'm really happy with our broadcast shows. Like we're sponsoring wrestling shows and stuff, and we're getting recognized too.
yeah, it's cool to go out and get recognized. I'm
Yeah.
sure you get recognized all the time at PWE because Stephen Ash goes there all the time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so he'll probably see your shirt while you're holding the camera.
Yeah, man. That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
A couple weekends.
It's nice to hear that, Johnny. It's really awesome to hear that because we're like massive different in age, but the thing is still there. The wrestling is still there, and it doesn't matter if it's this or new or old or whatever. And that's what we try to do, Jesse, is to keep it as different as possible. And when Jesse and I started doing this, it was like a lark. It was like a two kids goofing off.
Yeah.
And I dreamt this in my own way like 30 years ago that I would be doing this. I didn't know how it was going to happen. I didn't know when, how, where, why, anything, but it just happened. And to have someone on board who's just pumped and is learning and doing a good job, and I everyone says the same thing. Oh my God, that's fantastic. My wife loves it. She won't watch the whole episode because it's just not her thing.
Yeah.
But she loves all the stuff that you do because I show her, like, look at this, look at this. And as we progress, we'll get better, and so will you. And hopefully you can take this and get a career out of it. That would be so fantastic.
Yeah, I mean,
As long as you stay with us.
yeah. I mean, like you're already filming wrestling shows. We got your business card. I introduced Johnny to shooting the indies. Guy, he got his business card, and I mean, Johnny, man, you're a huge part of this show too, right? Like, yeah, sure, me and Wes are the up front, but like behind the scenes, bro, we don't know how. Control Alt Delete is as far as I go. Like, yeah.
We I don't know if Jesse's told you, but like Lynn, my wife, and I, we tried to figure out how to do some editing, and like, oh, man, it's so hard. It's when you're working, like we have a Mac, and we're trying to work on the editing program that's on the Mac, right? And oh man, it's like, no, I don't have the time for this because I don't have the brain for it,
Oh.
right?
Well, this is what I do. Like from the beginning when we first started, I started off scratch with editing, and then like every episode I just like duplicate the files and I just use the same file and just delete like editing, and then like just add in new stuff as I watch through. And also, guys, by the way, like if you're wondering what's been going on with the pop-ups, I've been commentating through the pop-ups.
Yeah.
Here's like
We're gonna switch it.
first
We need to
official,
say
like,
Johnny G
sorry.
says or something because Johnny does
Yeah.
all the pop-ups.
Yeah.
He corrects us and chirps us and does all the pop-ups. So we should probably say instead of having a pop-up, you should probably put Johnny G now. So then that way they know it's you.
Yeah.
And your take on things. Before I ask you the same question though, Wes, Johnny, after working with us for so long, what are some of the historical names that you're into? Like joining the groups and all that.
Oh, like, sorry,
Like wrestlers, like back in the 40s, 50s, what like guys that you see people post about, like what draws you to wrestling history? Like,
okay.
obviously I'm a big Whipper Watson mark, like huge. So
Yeah, I would say like the Sheik and like Gene Kiniski, and yeah, my third one would be with yeah, I can't really think off my head at the second, but yeah, just mainly like the Sheik and Gene Kiniski.
is it because you're from the Sudan too, bro? No, just...
Yeah.
If he's from the Sudan, then he should be an Abdullah the Butcher fan because that's
I
what
know I messed up. I'm sorry. You just leave him alone, Wes. You don't want.
the madman from the Sudan, Johnny G, and his uncle Abdullah the Butcher.
The Egyptian prince,
Yeah.
Johnny G. There you go. There you go. All right, Wes. What's your favorite thing about the NWCA, buddy?
Without a doubt, 1,000,000% sharing our research and sharing our knowledge, what little of it is, because it's not perfect and we don't know everything. We're just super fans. I love sharing it. I love when people say, "Oh man, that's so cool," and this, some people will say, "Well, Facebook, whatever, who cares? It's nothing. It's nothing. It doesn't mean anything to your life. It's not paying your bills. It's nothing." And in some ways it is nothing. But on the other notes, I started this Wildman page, and then we created the pages that we've created. And if I had more time, I would be creating more Facebook pages because it's important to me to get the stuff out there, share it with people, share knowledge, keep the history alive, for sure.
Yeah. If you had to start a new Facebook group, what area would you want to start? Like a province or like a city or?
I think I'd probably focus on maybe just Western Canada.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't want to be too specific, because I think we pigeonholed ourselves a little bit with the Ontario page. Although there's years and years of stuff we've never even touched yet.
Oh Jesus, we haven't even done the 1920s. So
yeah. But yeah, we could not pigeon ourselves, and so that we could take into consideration Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Calgary, and BC. There's like some great Montreal, Quebec pages. I'm not going to do Quebec because
they're great.
They're fantastic.
Yeah.
There's a couple of East Coast pages. They're not up there with a group membership or anything, but they're still there.
Yep.
We have a good friend called Roberto Starr who chimes in once in a while on our pages, and he's always willing to share his stuff with us if it pertains to the Wildman or something. So we, it's that would probably be it. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it's just like the NWCA is like, this is our brand.
Yeah.
Like we like together, we started this with just 2 Facebook groups and a podcast. And you know what? I will shout out, hey, Dave Dynasty, thanks for he took us on.
For sure.
And he said, hey, you guys should do an Ontario show. And then it came to the point where, I met AC and all this, and my collection grew and grew and grew, and we wanted to do video. We offered the product to Dave first. He said he didn't have time to do it. So we branched out on our own, and here we are. A lot of things that I like to do personally is get family members their stuff, because that's something that a lot of people don't know we do.
Yeah.
Is that we do have, my great grandfather wrestled in Toronto in 1962 from 1964. Here's his name. Did you have anything? You know what I mean? Oh, my father was here. Do you have anything? Oh, my friend was here. Like, my granddad was here. My grandmother was there. Like, do you have anything? And we go through our stuff and we try to help people find, and we connect it all. That's a huge thing that we do. That not a lot of people know that we do.
But it's so rewarding when someone goes, "Oh my God, you got another ad with my dad in it," and it's like, you're nothing wrong with your dad. He took the time to learn his craft, and maybe he only had a 5-year career, but the guy was a professional wrestler.
Yeah.
And he was always on the to be announced matches. Maybe that's why he's not on very many posters or ads or anything. But we find one every once in a while. It's like, oh man, and these people, you can feel the empathy coming through your messenger.
Yeah.
When these people say thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. And another huge thing too is it is cool being recognized. You know what I mean? Going out and people, oh man, that was a great episode you guys did, and so it's good. And one thing that me and Johnny are very good at doing is we're humble in public.
Yeah.
Like we say, hey man, we say it all the time, Wes. We don't know everything.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody has a niche.
Yeah.
Right? AC and I always talk about niches. He said, bro, once you find your niche, like that'll be it. If you want to know anything about Maple Leaf Wrestling, no problem. I can email AC and have your answer like this.
Yeah.
The guy, he helps me and Wes all the time. He is always willing to help. He's, I mean, remember how thankful I was when I got all those results, Wes? Like he gave me from 1920 to 1986, all Toronto results, bro, from every fucking card, all over Durham, everything. Like it's just the mass of research and everything, you know. And then then just meeting other historians, right? And I said the other day, like when you get a message and it says, "Hey man, like I really love what you and Wes do." All right, cool. I really appreciate that, but I want to let you know that Jamie Greer is doing a book for Windsor in the history of Windsor. Greg Oliver is a historian and an established author. You can't take that. He's worked his ass off from just being a fan like me and Johnny, and now he's up there. AC, he's the man. Like to me in Ontario, Greg and AC are 1 and 2, right? Like
AC's got 2 books too. Yeah.
AC's got 2 books. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot like Barry, Griff, or Barry, whatever he wants to be called.
Oh, he goes by a lot of names. Yeah.
Yeah, he goes by a couple. But him and his Maple Leaf Wrestling group is great. Our friend Mark Norotowski, like Mark will call me from San Diego, and he'll be like, "Hey man, how are you?" I'm like, "Good, bro." He's like, "Yeah, let's talk Detroit for a little bit." And then I learned about the Detroit things. And like, how do you think we knew that it was a $90 million gate for WrestleMania 3? Hey, I didn't find that out by just looking it up. I had someone that was there tell me.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like, there's a lot. And you talk about starting other groups and stuff. There is a lot of great stuff. We know a couple guys that cover Stampede.
Yep.
Right? And we know a couple guys that have history podcasts. And we are in no competition with anybody. We do our own thing because we are only on YouTube. We are an exclusive YouTube show. And just showing what we talk about. And not a lot of people do that. And now I see everybody jumping on the history train. Like, oh, I saw like maybe we should do a history article every month and all that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of people that are group members of ours say, "Hey, we should do a podcast," and it's like, that's fine. Knock yourself out.
Yeah.
If you're gonna,
we don't promote other podcasts on our show or on our Facebook groups. That's just a business decision the three of us have made. So it's not like we're trying to be dicks. It's just that's a decision the three of us have made, and we're sticking to it.
If one of our group members says, "Hey, I'm doing a podcast, Jesse, would you like to come on and be a guest?" In a private message after the fact, yeah, sure, no problems. But we're not going to post your podcast on our pages, and that's there's no offense. It's just it is
your podcast doesn't suit what we talk about.
Yeah, and we don't know what you are going to talk about, so
exactly. We try to be as family friendly as we can. Oh, who the fuck am I kidding? We try our best.
So we only have onwards and upwards to go, guys. We do, and if we ever can make this better and make it more stronger and make it more popular and push it to the limits that we can do, it's going to be so exciting. And I'm here for the long haul. This is it's a treat. It's a dream come true. I keep saying that, but it is.
Yeah. I mean, Johnny said it too. We're sponsoring wrestling shows.
Yeah.
Right. Like we had our numbers jumped 17% after the last sponsorship. To go out and talk to people and see people, and we have some booklets from book 2, and before we mail them out to the mailing list, we're bringing them to Quebec, and we're gonna hand them out. And why not? Right? Like you never know. Get our name in another province.
That's right.
So there's only one way to go, and it's up.
You'll be so famous in Quebec because of your fantastic French language speaking skills.
Oh, buddy, If I was in a rock band right now, I would be so popular in Japan because I have blonde hair and blue eyes. How do you think Cheap Trick got famous, bro?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Speaking of cheap tricks and thrills,
Yes.
if any of you guys watching our show have any questions at any time, you can hit us up on all of our 3 Facebook groups, the Wildman Tribute page, the Ontario Wrestling Clippings of the Past, as well as the National Wrestling Clipping Alliance page. I see fucking Johnny doing this. He's already picturing where the things are going.
I'm used to like watching you guys do it and I just add it in.
Here.
Right here.
In this square.
Pause, extend the timeline. Oh, add it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss anything. We have a lot coming up. Of course, life happens, man, and our team was hit with COVID. Like I had COVID in April. There's some personal stuff going on with some of our members, and we're going to try to get back to weekly. We have St. Louis, which will be dropping probably this week or Monday. We have the Toronto 1959. We did a Jim Conley. We have Ask for like this episode we're doing now. Yep. We're documenting our trip to Quebec so you guys can see what we're going to. They just announced today, Wes. No ropes, barbed wire match final. Fans bring the weapons.
Get out.
I swear.
Like ECW all over again.
Oh, buddy. And me, Johnny, and Chops are going to be front row, man.
Nice.
And hopefully we're going to talk to the promoters because our buddy that's coming with us knows the promoters personally, and hopefully we can get a lot more content. We're going to document our whole trip.
Cool.
So it's going to be awesome. If you guys want us to visit a place in wrestling history, a territory, a time period, hey, go to the UK, go to go to here. We'll dig and we'll find, right? We're doing this not just for us, what we want to talk about. We're trying to cover everything that everybody would want to hear. So we can't just do modern stuff, but we can't just do old school stuff, right?
I've been on a massive UK wrestling kick recently. I watched a match today with Dynamite Kid. He looked like he was about 145 pounds, and he was the tallest guy in the ring.
What?
So that shows you how small the British wrestlers were back in the day, right? Yeah, he looked like he was about 18 at the most.
You want a good European wrestler? Jim Cornette compares him to Gene Kaniski. His name is Walter, now known as Gunther.
Walter?
Yeah. Walter or Gunther, because they changed his name because, Vince has to own everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Jim Cornette says that the size he is now, he looks like a young Kaniski. He's just huge.
Okay.
Buddy, he's got the hardest chest chop you'll ever hear.
Yeah.
The thing rings like a doorbell.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
You know, do a chest slap in middle of the forest and all the animals would hear it.
Yeah, bro, I'm telling you. He did a match with a guy and they were black and blue by the end of it because they just chopped and it was hard hitting UK strong style, man, the whole time. Yeah, I think he's right up your alley because he's fucking tall and he's big. So, cool. Okay, guys. Again, subscribe to the channel, like our Facebook groups.
Twitter
at official NWCA1. You can hit us up on there too. At Wrestling Jess is my personal Instagram. John has Instagram. What's your Instagram handle, Johnny?
JGD portfolio.
So there you go. You'll see his logo on the side when he edits the videos.
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks to Grand River Tea for sponsoring our show. Good news is going up on that. When we relaunch with the Nature Boys of Ontario.
That's going to be so exciting and so huge and so much fun. We're going to have to really, really hone down our skills on that one, Jesse.
Yes, because we're talking about two of the greats, Buddy Rogers and Ric Flair. And that whole episode, who? The the whole episode is about their careers in Ontario. We can't cover Ric Flair and Buddy Rogers in one episode worldwide. We'd be here for 6 hours.
Yeah.
So we're going to cover their reigns in Ontario and compare and maybe, see who had the more successful career, which is going to be, again, hard because they are both massive names here.
Yeah, and we're going to have that one as probably their opening summer series, right? Summer episode?
Yes. Again, life happens. Johnny's on vacation. We were trying to pump out as many as we can, but hopefully with the relaunch come July, that episode will be out.
Awesome. Looking forward to doing that and researching it and then getting it up and then Johnny doing the magic and then going, oh, man, that's beautiful.
I didn't know you could get it up at your age without a blue pill.
Oh, shit.
You know what you guys need to do? You need some piercings and some fake tattoos. You guys could be the headbangers from the 90s.
Yeah.
I'll
just wear a sleeve like, yeah, whatever.
Wes, before we cut off, who's the first wrestler with a tattoo that you saw live?
First wrestler with the tattoo that I saw live. Not many.
Probably the Samoans.
Didn't see them live. Not
Oh,
too many wrestlers had tattoos back in the day. I'm trying to think here. I guess the most popular wrestler that had tattoos would be Harley Race because he always had the ones on his arms, right? But I never saw Harley live. Maybe Josh Alexander. I don't know.
Yeah, just so you know, Johnny, he's on board with the Alexander train.
Yeah.
So, okay, guys, thank you all for watching. Thank you to everybody who sent in. Oh, this guy does a Hogan impression. Johnny, you work out, man. Don't flex. You're going to make us look bad.
Make you look bad. I'm trim and slim down 170, buddy.
Oh, gee. Yeah. What? Me and Jim are the same. 198.3. Okay. Again, thank you guys for sending in your questions. Facebook groups, Twitter, Instagram, we're everywhere. Look for us at Greektown, June 25th. Bret the Hitman Hart. We're going to Quebec this weekend. It is May 31st, so you're going to see more content coming on the page. Until next time, I'm Jess.
I'm Wes.
I'm Johnny G.
Awesome.
And this is the National Wrestling Clipping Alliance team. Thanks for watching. Until next time. Peace!
Sayonara.
I'm Jess.
And I'm Wes.
I'm Jess.
And I'm Wes.
We are the National Wrestling Clipping Alliance. It's the NWCA podcast.